Welcome, dear listener. As we leave behind the noise of the day, let us journey to a quieter place, a realm of gentle stars and timeless wisdom. Our guide is a small boy from a tiny asteroid, known only as the Little Prince. His story, though simple, is a profound map of the human heart, and his travels among the stars reveal truths that resonate deeply within us. Through his encounters, we learn not with the mind, but with the soul, discovering lessons that speak to the essence of what it means to live, to love, and to see. Our first, and perhaps most important, lesson comes from a fox. This wise creature, emerging from golden wheat fields, teaches the prince about the sacred act of connection. "Please tame me," the fox implores. He explains that to tame means to establish ties, to create unique bonds through patience, ritual, and consistent presence. It is a slow alchemy of trust. From this bond blooms the fox's greatest secret. It is only with the heart that one can see rightly. What is essential is invisible to the eye. This statement unravels a great mystery of existence. Our eyes are perfect for navigating the surface of the world. They see clocks, faces, and objects. But the heart perceives a deeper dimension. It sees the invisible architecture of relationships, the weight of a memory, the silent language of a shared glance. It discerns the essential quality of things, not their price, but their value, not their function, but their meaning. The prince's relationship with his rose is the purest illustration of this truth, for he loved her not because she was objectively unique, but because she was uniquely his. And it is to that rose we now turn, for she teaches the second lesson, the alchemy of devoted time. The little prince's rose was vain, demanding, and fragile. He cared for her, protected her from drafts, and listened to her, even in her melodrama. When he later discovered a garden filled with identical roses on earth, he was initially heartbroken, believing his flower was common. But then came a revelation. It is the time I have wasted for my rose that makes my rose so important. Here, wasted is the key. It is time given freely, without transactional expectation, purely for the sake of the bond itself. This is what transforms the ordinary into the sacred. A mass-produced cup becomes treasured when it is the one you drink from every morning. A familiar path becomes meaningful because you have walked it with someone you love. The value is not in the object or the person alone, but in the invisible investment of care, attention, and shared history. It is this investment that weaves the golden, enduring threads into the tapestry of a life. This deep bond naturally leads to the third lesson, again from the fox, about eternal responsibility. You become responsible forever for what you have tamed, he says. This is not a burden of obligation, but the natural consequence and privilege of true connection. When you tame and are tamed by a person, a pet, a place, or even an idea, you enter a silent pact. You carry a piece of that other within you, and their well-being becomes part of your own moral landscape. It is a gentle, unbreakable anchor that roots you to the world. This responsibility is love in its most active, enduring form. It is the quiet promise to remember, to honor, and to hold a space in your inner world for those you have connected with, long after circumstances may have changed. In this way, love becomes a permanent geography of the heart. The little prince's journey then takes him to a series of asteroids, each occupied by a solitary grown-up, offering our fourth lesson on the perils of forgetting. He meets a king who rules nothing, a vain man who craves empty admiration, and a businessman who diligently counts stars he can never own. To the prince's childlike perspective, these figures are not powerful or important, but profoundly pitiable. They have forgotten how to see. They have traded wonder for possession, imagination for ledger books, and the joy of a sunset for the hollow trappings of authority. They represent the part of us that gets lost in abstraction and ego, that mistakes busyness for purpose and accumulation for fulfillment. The prince's clarity holds up a mirror, asking us to remember the child who found a universe in a wildflower, who understood that a drawing of a box could perfectly contain a sleeping sheep. That capacity for imaginative, heartfelt perception is not juvenile. It is the very faculty that allows us to access beauty, meaning, and truth. This theme of finding profundity in starkness leads to the fifth lesson, born in the vast silence of the Sahara Desert. Thirsty and searching for a well with his friend the aviator, the little prince observes, what makes the desert beautiful is that somewhere it hides a well. This is a philosophy of hope embedded in austerity. It suggests that within every barren landscape of our experience, periods of loneliness, doubt, or hardship, there exists a hidden source of nourishment. The beauty is in the latent potential, the promise of sustenance not yet revealed. The well is a metaphor for the resilience, insight, or unexpected kindness that emerges precisely when we need it most. It teaches that difficulty is not a meaningless void, but often a necessary terrain that contains within it the very thing that will sustain our growth. We learn to trust the desert because we learn it holds water. We learn to trust life because its trials often conceal its greatest gifts. From the desert, we look up to the stars, which provide the sixth lesson on connection across distances. Knowing his rose is alone on a distant asteroid, the prince says, "The stars are beautiful because of a flower you cannot see." His love for a specific, unseen flower transforms the entire cosmos. The impersonal, cold light of countless stars becomes a soft, personal beacon because it is connected to his heart. This illustrates how love and meaning are not contained by proximity. A memory, a person far away, a hope for the future. These unseen flowers can illuminate our entire inner sky. The universe becomes meaningful not through its impersonal scale, but through the personal connections we project upon it. The stars, in their silent twinkling, become a canvas upon which we paint our loves, making the impersonal universe intimately our own. The seventh lesson emerges from the gentle friction of friendship itself. As the prince and the aviator struggle to communicate, they discover, as we all do, the inherent clumsiness of language. Words are imperfect vessels, often failing to capture the depth and nuance of what we feel. We say one thing while our hearts mean another, leading to the small, painful misunderstandings that litter our days. The prince's story invites us to acknowledge this limitation with grace. It suggests that beyond the realm of words lies a deeper, more authentic understanding, a communication of presence, patience, and shared silence. It is a call to listen for the meaning behind the words, and to forgive the inevitable gaps between what is said and what is meant in others and in ourselves. This leads naturally to the eighth lesson on the origin of judgment. Recall the king on the first asteroid, who issued commands to no one. His authority was an illusion, a projection of his own need for control. The fox later implies that our judgments of others often function the same way. They are projections of undiscovered or unaccepted parts of ourselves. When we judge hastily, we are often condemning in another a frailty we refuse to acknowledge in our own heart. The antidote is not to stop judging others first, but to start by judging ourselves with compassionate honesty, to look inward with gentle clarity, to understand our own fears and flaws, is to drain the venom from our judgments of others. Compassion begins as an inside job, and it softens our view of the entire world. The ninth lesson comes from a most dedicated soul, the lamplighter on a tiny, fast-spinning asteroid. His duty is to light and extinguish his lamp every minute, an endless, exhausting task. Yet he is the only grown-up the prince meets who is not absurd, but admirable. Why? Because he is faithful. He is devoted to his purpose, however small or seemingly futile. His lesson is that there is dignity and even peace in faithful action itself. It is not the grandiosity of our duty that matters, but the integrity and care with which we perform it. Our own daily rituals, the small acts of care for ourselves, our work, our homes, are not mundane burdens. They are the sacred, repetitive gestures that maintain the order and meaning of our world, and performing them with attention is a quiet form of love. We arrive, finally, at the 10th lesson, which is really the first lesson returning, having been deepened by all the others. The fox's secret. The essential is invisible to the eye. The most beautiful and important things, love, trust, hope, nostalgia, inner peace, are not physical objects to be grasped. They are felt, known in the landscape of the heart. The little prince's entire odyssey was an outward journey that facilitated an inward discovery. He traveled the universe to understand the singular importance of his one rose. He met strange characters to remember the clarity of his own childlike heart. He is a reminder that our most significant adventures are voyages of perception, aimed not at conquering external worlds, but at understanding the invisible, essential world within. His story settles around us, now not as a set of instructions, but as a quiet affirmation. It tells us that the heart's wisdom, though invisible, is the most real compass we possess, guiding us not to treasure buried in sand, but to the treasure buried in our own capacity to see, to connect, and to love.